Hey guys, Ryder here, and as of today, I have uploaded a boss guide for every single boss in Dark Souls 2 Scholar of the First Sin, including the DLCs, and what a ride it has been. Now that we are done and dusted, though, I'm going to do the same thing I did with Dark Souls 1, and we are going to rank these bosses from worst to best. Considering how many bosses there are in this game and its respective DLCs, something tells me it's going to be a long one, so strap in. Keep in mind, this is my opinion. It's fully my objective. Of course, my opinion is always correct, so you may as well just strap in for that because I'm always right. You can't argue with me, okay? But anyway, like I said, be sure you leave a comment down below. Let me know if I missed the mark on a couple. I'd love to hear your guys' opinion on some of the bosses. Some of the ones that I ranked, maybe the one that you think should have been number one is ranked lower than you think it should. We'll have to see what gets into it. Before we get started, make sure that you like, comment, subscribe to the channel, ding that notification bell. I'm going to be doing these things for all of the Souls games from Software, as well as some Souls likes as well. Check the link in the description down below. I stream on Twitch and Kick and YouTube, all three. I have a TikTok, all that happy horse shit. But anyway, enough of that. Without further ado, let's kick this off. Alright guys, bringing up the rear in last place is the Royal Rat Vanguard. These guys are located down in the Grave of the Saints, and you want to talk about a nonsensical, really silly fight. This felt like just a glorified trash bowl more than anything. It really wasn't all that engaging of a fight at all. I felt like I was just swarmed by rats the entire time. Didn't really feel engaged. It was just more of an annoyance and a time waster because you just spend the whole time running in circles waiting for the one rat that you're supposed to kill spawn. By the way, whose ideal was it to bring a bunch of rats into this fucking fight just for you to find one singular one with a mohawk? And what's their fucking problem with people with mohawks anyway? It's a little fucking weird. But no, all in all, this fight was just... Honestly, it's forgettable. Doesn't even feel like a boss fight, and it's probably the silliest of the bosses that I've seen in pretty much any Souls game. It just made me kind of drop my head and shake it and go, really? That's it? But yeah, this one deserves, not really by it being like a stupid fight, but just by being just, it just didn't feel like a boss fight. It was brain dead stupid. Bringing up into number 40, we've got the Royal Magathon Congregation. Again, this is... It's going to be a common trend here. This again, did not feel like a boss fight in any way, shape, form, or fashion. I came... Honestly, the first time I played through Dark Souls 2 and I walked through the gate, I thought there was going to be more to this fight. Like, I walked in and I killed these guys, and then it just ended. I was like, that's it? Like, again, this Dark Souls 2 has a trend of doing a lot of quantity and not a lot of quality, and this is a key example right there. This is just an annoying trash mob, and there's absolutely nothing. There's no mechanics to it. It's just run around, dodge spells, and smack the enemies around. Just a waste of a space for a boss fight, to be honest, and it deserves to be bottom of the tier. Coming in at 39, we have the Dragon Rider. The Dragon Rider itself is actually kind of an interesting boss, but all in all, with its basic moveset just easily being able to be countered by just rolling through its attacks, and the fact that if you can cheese the boss and like literally if you don't raise the platforms and you just roll out of the way and he falls off the platform, makes this boss to be a very like unengaging boss. The entire time I'm just kind of baiting out his swings and rolling behind him. At no point do I really feel threatened in this fight. It's just a matter of just timing your swings and rolling through. And like I said, any boss that you can cheese immediately loses brownie points like this. And the fact that you can just roll and bait him off the edge is just laughable at best. Very forgettable boss, but I mean, he is in the early game, so he gets a couple of passes for that. The Covetous Demon takes in at number 38. Jabba the Hutt here is a laughable boss. The only reason I put him higher than the other ones is just because he's very entertaining. I mean, he doesn't do anything. He just sits there and rolls around. I mean, if he does happen to eat you, that sucks. But if you manage to get yourself eaten by this guy, I mean, you've got problems. But he doesn't even do anything. He just rolls around like a slug, slaps his tail around, and swipes aimlessly. He's such a forgettable boss, but the fact that he's a meme just makes me chuckle every time I see him. That's the only reason why I put him higher than the other ones. But at the end of the day, he'd be best to just be a trash mob, to be honest. Are you guys starting to see a trend here? The Skeleton Lords, again, glorified trash mob. I do rank it a little bit higher than the other ones just because of the fact that you do kind of got to be a little strategic in how you handle it, because if you kill all three of them at the same time, and you have all of the pinwheel skeleton mobs and all the skeletons at one time, it can become nasty. But to be completely honest, this is still just a glorified trash pull. It's not even that challenging of a trash pull, because if you come in here with any kind of AoE spells whatsoever, you can burn down most of these enemies relatively quickly. Like I said, the only dangerous one are the pinwheel skeletons, and even they aren't near as deadly in this game as they are in Dark Souls 1. But yeah, this definitely deserves to be down in the lower parts of the rank. But you know, it was an entertaining fight. You know, a fun little encounter to deal with. But all in all, it was kind of a snooze fest. The Last Giant, as the first boss of the game, it gets a slight pass for some of the weaknesses that I've named in the other ones, but with it being the first boss in the game, it's deceptively, like, I don't know, like, it's one of those things. I have a love-hate relationship with this boss, because at one hand, it's an easy boss, it's nonsensical, but on the other hand, it's also the very first boss of the game. So if, like, say Dark Souls 2 is your very first Souls game, this is a good, like, metric to learn the skills of bobbing in and out, dodging, choosing your moments, and things like that. Very basic boss, but at the end of the day, it does teach a new player some basic fundamentals in dealing with some of the bosses in Dark Souls 2. So I think it gets a little bit of a pass on some of the weaknesses that some of the later bosses, or some of the other bosses that I've named in this tier list, has. But it's relatively dull, so I mean, I would still put it on the lower spectrum. It's a forgettable boss. It's not like the Asylum Demon where, like, you know, big Chungus just drops in out of nowhere and then you gotta, like, run away and then come back and everything. This one, you walk in and you just smack him around and he dies. All in all, kind of a snores fest boss, but it gets a little bit of a pass from me just because it's an early boss. Suffering from the same weaknesses as the Last Giant, the Giant Lord is way later in the game and does not get the same passes that the Last Giant got. I mean, this is a late game boss that you have to take on in order to weaken Vendrick, and it's almost kind of required in a way to kill him. And for him to be such a late game boss and for him to be so underwhelming, it's just unforgivable. I gave the Last Giant a pass because he was an early game boss. With this being such a late game boss, it does not get the same pass. The only reason that I rank it higher is just because of the fact that you do have to go through a couple of extra steps to get to him, and the run to him is kind of frustrating, trying to get through all of the traps and explosions and shit. But other than that, he's just depressing. Coming in at number 34, we have the Twin Dragon Riders located in Drangleic Castle. And these guys, I mean, the thing is that this had such a great potential to be an awesome fight, but to be completely honest, it's underwhelming as all get out. I think it would have been better if they both would have had similar health pools, because then it would have been more of a challenge. But the thing is, with Black Boy here having next to no health and you being able to just kind of like take him out in no time at all, thus turning it into the same fight you've already had, makes this fight very underwhelming for a late game fight, or at least a mid game fight. I don't know if this would be considered mid game or late game, but it's definitely an underwhelming fight, very easily tackled, and honestly kind of a letdown. Coming in at number 33, we have the Guardian Dragon, located at Aldia's Keep. This boss is like, I don't know, the fact that you can kill this boss in no time at all from the minute that he, like, before he can even get up, is one of the main reasons why I planted him so low. I mean, his fire attacks are pretty dangerous, and as you can see here, you know, I get damaged pretty good by him. But all in all, the fight itself is very underwhelming. He just stays in the air. He's really annoying. He's kind of a copy pasta, you know, repeat of the Drake boss you fought outside of the old Dragon Slayer's room. He's definitely a little bit more aggressive. But the thing is, again, if you have enough Estus to survive the flame attacks and you just kind of like stay at his feet, he's just like every other generic dragon boss. I find him so dull. And again, the fact that if you are kitted out enough, which I wasn't in this, but if you're kitted out enough, you can kill him before he even has a chance to do anything, is one of the main reasons why I placed him so low on this list. Which not even the Germ Great Shield. Aldia, Scholar of the First Sin, for the final boss of the game and the true final boss of the game, I was so underwhelmed the first time I fought this boss. He is like, I don't know, the fact that you have to go through so many steps and you have to kill certain bosses and everything in order to make this secret boss appear, and all he is a giant blob that just kind of sits there and spews fire at you, and all you really have to do is wait for him to reappear to hit him again. It just makes this fight very underwhelming. It's so disappointing. I gave it a higher thing than I probably should have, purely just because of the fact that it is a cool boss. You do have to go through a lot of like steps to get it to spawn. Even though it's so underwhelming, it is cool aesthetically. So I'm cool with putting it at 32. But my God, what a miss! I'm so sad that it did so poorly. King Vendrick, located in the Undead Crypt, I put him up at this number purely because of the fact that you do have to go and collect all the giant souls. This is one of those unique bosses that, like, he's as hard or as easy as you want him to be. If you have up to 5 giant souls, you do regular damage to him. Or you could, like, try to go in there with no giant souls and, like, hard mode this. I never tried that, but kudos to you if you have. But honestly, like, again, it's a classic case of like, man, you have to work so hard to fight this boss effectively for such an underwhelming fight where all you have to do is just stay on his non-weapon side. He does nothing else interesting but just leap backward and swipe. That's it. It's very disappointing. I kind of wish that we could have fought maybe like an unnerfed version of him, maybe by going into a memory. I think that would have been a cool thing to add, but unfortunately we just don't get that here. So it gets to sit here at number 31. So the Flexile Sentry, located in No Man's Wharf, I put him at number 30, and honestly, I put him higher than I probably should have, to be completely honest, but I really enjoy this fight. Like, just the fact that it makes you really think about what side you want to attack. You know, you can choose to attack the sword side, the club side. It's one of those things where, like, it gives you choices, and I like bosses that give you choices on how you want to tackle things. Not to mention, it is a nice touch that the environment kind of changes, albeit it doesn't really change a whole lot, but it does change a little bit whenever it comes to the water raising in the room. I thought that was a really nice touch that FromSoft did in this fight. I just thought that the fight itself was just very uniquely put together, with the fact that you could choose which side and how you want the fight to go, and the fact that the encounter changes with the arena. I thought it was a really, really cool idea. And I think it deserves to be maybe not super high, but definitely higher than the other ones on this list. The Old Iron King in the Iron Keep. Honestly, such an underwhelming boss, but it looks so cool. The most challenging part of this fight is honestly just making sure you don't get knocked into the lava. The boss himself isn't really the challenge here. It's just making sure you don't get smacked into the lava. honestly, I feel like they missed the mark real hard on this boss. I feel like it was such a cool, like, it looks so badass. I wish it was better than what it was, but it just has such basic moves, easily handled as you can see here, and there's very little danger at all. After such a difficult area like the Iron Keep, to be met with this kind of an underwhelming boss at the end, it was kind of a letdown, to be completely honest. Speaking of underwhelming bosses in difficult areas, the Demon of Song coming in at 28. After a nightmare zone like the Shrine of Amana, to be met with the Demon of Song at the end was just so anticlimactic. Like, I was expecting some really mega difficult, like, caster enemy, to be honest. Like, with all of the mages and casters you had to deal with getting here, I was expecting, like, a really difficult boss at the end of this, just because of how difficult the zone was. But this is just a classic case of FromSoft missing the mark with this game. I will give it a couple of points for, like, a unique boss design. I did like the fact that, like, he pulled himself inside of, like, a carapace, and you gotta pick and choose when to attack, and his moveset's a little chaotic from time to time. Like, I'll give it points for that, but other than that, like, just, it's such a letdown. Like, I hate whenever these annoying areas that you come across have such boring bosses at the end of it, and just sit there and go, really? That's it? That's all I came down here for? Alright. Pretty well telegraphed. And talking about underwhelming bosses wouldn't be complete without talking about the final boss of the base game, Nashandra. Nashandra, like, I don't know. Like, I think the only difficult part of this boss is being patient with her. And the fact that if you don't time it right, you have to fight a Red for the Throne Watcher and Throne Defender fight. But even then, it's really not that difficult. Nashandra was such a letdown of a boss. Looked really cool design, but to be completely honest, if you nullify the curse damage that she does with the Curse Bite Ring or Curse Resistant Armor, or you do what I do and just bait her away from the things, the fight itself is so stupidly simple for a final boss. Like, if you compare this boss to Gwyn in Dark Souls 1, I mean, yeah, I know you can parry Gwyn to death, but if you choose not to parry Gwyn, he is a nightmare of a boss sometimes. This boss, I feel like it's just a snooze-fest boss. There's nothing interesting about it. Even the curse damage, as long as you stay away from the fountains, like, it's just pointless. Like, I hate the fact that, again, after such a ride that Dark Souls 2 was, and how difficult the game was, for the final boss to be this, I was like, meh. Alright then. Like, it really does. It could have been so much better. Coming in at number 26 is Grave Robber, Varg, and Sarah, otherwise known as the Gank Squad. These guys, look, okay, if we're talking difficulty, if this was a difficulty tier list, I would probably put this a lot higher on the list. But as far as the fight itself, this fight is such trash. It's in a terrible area to get to, where all you can do is just mad dash run through a bunch of petrification stones to get to it, and then you're met with three of the most annoying NPC enemies I've ever came across. I spend more time in this fight running around in circles than I do actually fighting the boss, because the entire fight is just running around and just hoping like hell you don't get shot by an arrow or caught between a wall and fucking Havel's big ass hammer. This whole fight was just nothing but running around. I gave it more points than I probably should have, just because of the fact that it does require some critical thinking on who you're going to attack first and how you're going to take care of it. But at the end of the day, it just boils down to, can I outrun the enemy long enough to where I can get one measly opening to hit somebody, and then hope that I can survive enough to get away again. The fight itself is just, it's nonsense. It's chaotic. It's not even a fun fight. I'm not a fan of this fight in the slightest, and I think the game would have been better if it wasn't in it at all. The Throne Watcher and Throne Defender bosses are the beginning of a gauntlet of bosses at the end of the game. Honestly, like, I gave this boss a couple of extra brownie points just because of the fact that you can tackle it one way or the other. I personally enjoyed the fact that the boss is revived. I think that was my favorite part of this fight. It added some critical thinking on, like, do I want to try to kill one and then focus the other one, or do I want to try to keep their health together? I think that's a nice little addition, the fact that you have to kill them together or you might make the fight more difficult for yourself. I thought was a nice touch, and that's why I put it a little bit higher on the list. Not to mention, if you catch yourself in a bad spot, they can tear you up pretty quick. 2-on-1 fight, kill off. The Ruined Sentinels in the Lost Bastille are an early game boss, but I put them higher up on the list purely because it's honestly, it's because it's the first real difficulty boss that I had in this game. I mean, the Pursuer was definitely a challenge, but these guys took me a while to take down my first time. They are stressful, especially if you don't know how to tackle them. A 3-on-1 gang fight this early in the game is something that you don't see a whole lot in Souls games, and I thought it was a nice touch. I do like the fact that they all three have the same exact attack pattern, and you get to have the critical thinking of, like, do you want to take on one and then take on the other two, or you can take on all three at the same time. It keeps you on your toes, keeps you guessing. I thought it was a nice touch. And all in all, it's a very unique, well, not unique, it's a very interactive encounter, and it makes you stay on your toes and really have to work hard for victory. This is one of those fights that in the early game, when you finally take it down, you feel accomplished. You feel like, yes, I'm awesome. And I definitely felt that way the first time I took this down by myself. The Executioner's Chariot in the Undead Purgatory is a pretty entertaining fight, to be completely honest. It's I mean, it's simplistic at its base, but it's so chaotic that it makes me chuckle every time. I remember the first time I fought this boss, I got so pissy at it, but, like, at the end of the day, like, this is actually a really unique encounter, and it's unique enough that it gives me a pass on some of the more annoying, gimmicky fights that they've had in Souls games. I love the fact that it's like a multifaceted fight, and it's like a multi-phase fight without it having to be a multi-phase fight. Like, your first phase is killing all of the necromancers and the skeletons while bobbing and weaving through alcoves and dodging the skeletons and everything like that, which is already a cool little thing. But then on top of that, you have to worry about the added fear of this thing just charging down the fucking alleyway at you and running you down like a dog. And then just when you get to the end and you pull the lever and you think, yeah, I win, no, now you gotta fight Big Horse Boy, and it's a whole nother boss fight. So, like, it's just a creative encounter. I really appreciate the work and creativity they did to put in to this, like, optional boss that they didn't even have to put this much work into. I really thought this fight was really unique, really cool. The old Dragon Slayer fight's really cool, even though it's just a copy-paste of Ornstein from Dark Souls 1. I love the fact that they, like, threw this homage boss in there just to be like, hey, I remember this guy. All the same movesets, although he does do the little, like, dark blast and everything. I don't know, I'm a sucker for a good 1v1. Like, a really cool skill-based 1v1 like this, I really enjoyed. The only reason I didn't put it higher up on the list is just because he is just a carbon copy of Ornstein, which we've already seen. And Ornstein, without Smog, is not that difficult. And I think that's the only reason why I didn't put him higher up on the list. But all in all, this was a really cool encounter, and it was nice to see them kind of pay homage to Dark Souls 1 by putting him in here. Alana the Squalid Queen. This is one of the bosses of the first DLC, and honestly, like, the only reason that I put this boss as high up, because this is just Nashandra copy-paste. But the difference being is that instead of curse damage, she spawns all these different minions at you, and has like a bunch of different magical spells. Honestly, this is the boss that I wish Nashandra was, and that's why I put her higher up. Like, she's honestly really cool to fight, And the added thing that you don't know what she's gonna spawn next is also really neat. You know, you really shit your pants the first time you're fighting this boss, and they summon fucking Velstad on your ass, and you're like, oh dear God, like, it's just this fight right here. In my opinion, if they were to if they were to give Nishandra all of the same kind of abilities, Nishandra would have been much higher on the list. But Alana itself, really unique encounter, really cool spell effects, really neat mechanic. The teleportation all around the room is really nice. Like, I really enjoyed this fight. I thought it was really cool. Like, the design was really neat. The only reason it's really not further up on the list is just because 90% of the time she just summons the little skeletons that you can just ignore and just wail on her. But still, she's a really cool encounter. I really do enjoy her quite a bit. Scorpioness Najka in the Shaded Ruins is honestly, like, to be fair, I probably shouldn't have put her this high up on the list, because compared to Alana, she's really not that great. But I don't know, I really enjoy the concept of the fact that you can cut the tail off to make it easier. You don't gain anything from doing this other than just making the fight easier. But I think my favorite part of this fight is the fact that she buries herself underground, and it makes you have to, like, be aware of where you're standing and where you're at. And you have to, like, pick and choose the terrain you're standing on by, like, staying on the brick area, and the concrete area to like nullify that ability. I don't know. There's something about her that I really enjoyed. I thought that the scorpion tail, the dual scorpion tails were wicked. The fact that she uses Hope and Soul Mask, which is one of my favorite sorceries ever, is really, really cool. I don't know. I just really enjoyed this fight. I thought it was really well done. You know, for a mid-game boss, I thought it was pretty neat. Lud and Zalin, the king's pets in the Phrygian outskirts. Honestly, getting to this boss is more of a pain in the ass than the boss itself. To be completely honest, this boss, like, I'm giving it extra points just because of the fact that it's so hard to get to this boss, and it allows you the ability to kill one before the other, like, really gets out of hand. But the thing, this fight loses points for one key factor, and that is the fact that it is literally a copy paste of Ava. Although on a worse scale, because of the Frigid outskirts and everything getting to it. It's just, I don't know. I feel like I would enjoy this fight more if it wasn't for the Frigid outskirts, and it wasn't for the fact that I had to run through a snowfield of lightning unicorns just to fight this underwhelming double cat boss, which is just a recopy of the boss I've already fought earlier in the DLC. I just thought it was kind of a lazy way to close out this DLC. And I think they could have done a better job with it. Maybe, like, when one of the cats died, the other one got superpowered with, like, different abilities or something. I think that would have been a cool touch. But instead of just making just a copy paste of Ava just ×2, I don't know. It was just lazy in my opinion. So the Duke's Dear Freya is one of those bosses that, like, you want to have your inner fear realized of just being swarmed by spiders. Yeah, this is that fight. The fight itself is honestly really cool. The arena's neat. I like the fact that we've got, like, little spider babies all over the fucking place. Honestly, I think the only weakness this fight really has, in my opinion, is the limited moveset that the Duke really has. Like, Mama Spider just shoots the beam and slams her little tentacles around, and that's about all she does. This fight honestly reminds me a lot of, like, Gravelord Nito, but done worse. Cause like I feel like this fight would be a goddamn glorified trash mob spawn if it wasn't for the fact that there were a bunch of little spider mobs you had to worry about. This fight would be nothing without the spider babies. The fight itself is stupid easy. It's just the spider babies that are our problem. So I kind of think of this fight kind of like Nito, just less of a bullshit run because you don't have to take like force damage or anything. But I don't know, I just felt like they could have given the boss itself a little bit more abilities than just beam and slam, and that's all it really does. So on the other flip side, you want to be surrounded by rats? Are those your greatest fear? Well, guess what? This game's got that too. We got the Royal Rat Authority at number 17. Now, the reason I put this thing higher up on the list is, to be completely honest, this is a chaotic, fearful fight. And it's actually deceptively difficult. Like, a lot of people compare this fight to Sif, but honestly, I feel like this fight to be so much harder than Sif just because of the fact that he has like a delayed attack pattern. And it's really hard to tell when you're supposed to dive in and when you're not. Dodging his attacks, like, honestly, it's a good thing I was playing this as a strength build because I soaked so much damage because I just could not figure out the timing for his lunges and his swipes. Getting under his feet are the best bet, but like doing that is sometimes difficult because he just dives backwards. And then add the fact that he's got little, you know, rat babies that try to fucking petrify and poison you. And then you got fucking bleed damage on the boss. Like, this whole fight's chaotic mess. But it's super challenging, and it's one of those things that, like, the fact that to this day I still kind of struggle to not soak damage on it is one of the reasons why I put it a little bit higher on the list. The Belfry Gargoyle is located in Belfry, or Lunar Belfry, where the fuck it is. These guys, oh my god, like, these guys are so frustrating in the early game. They're like the Bell Gargoyles on drugs. To be honest, I had to come back to them way later and take them to overpower them by just sheer damage output because it just gets out of hand so fast. This was FromSoft saying, hey, 2 gargoyles weren't hard enough for you, well, let's throw 6 at you at the same time. This whole fight is just a chaotic mess. There's very little openings to it. The only reason I put it this high up on the list was the fact that it is a legit, like, damage check. It's a legit, like, it's just pure chaos, and I do think that I like what they did here. I think they could have done better execution on it. I think they just needed to tweak, like, the openings. They were just way too aggressive. But other than that, they were a good one. Ava, the King's Pet, in the 3rd DLC of the game, is probably one of the more coolest bosses that they have. Like, compared to Lud and Zalan, like, this boss was one that, like, I thoroughly enjoyed taking on. One, I really enjoyed the fact that he is invisible, and it forces you to go and, like, explore the zone to try to find a specific item to even be able to encounter the boss. Well, not even encounter, to even be able to fight the boss. Is just a really unique thing. I mean, that's one of my favorite things about the fight. The fight is just chaotic enough to where, like, you feel like you've really got to time your rolls. And honestly, I suck at timing my rolls. I've said this earlier in the video. It's a good thing that I run a strength build a lot of the times. And I wear heavy armor because I soak so much damage because I'm bad at timing shit sometimes that, like, if I was a squishier build, I probably would have had a much harder time on this boss. But this boss is a really cool model, really cool mechanic, and the item to make it visible. And it's a really cool zone, fighting him in a literal snowstorm. I really enjoyed this boss. I thought it was very well done. Mitha, the Baneful Queen. Did you remember to burn the windmill? I sure hope you did, because otherwise you have a hard time with this boss. Honestly, that's one of my favorite things about this boss. First and foremost, the character model, the Medusa character model. Thought it was really cool. I like the fact that she throws her fucking head at you. I think that's hilarious. I also love the added thing that she throws her head at you and then dives wildly at it. I think that's just comical. Like, it's a great comedic boss. I absolutely love the poison mechanic. You have to be aware of where you're placing the boss. You have to be aware of, like, it forces you to explore the earthen peak a little bit more, because otherwise you're not going to burn the windmill, and this is going to be a bad time. I don't know. I like unique encounters that make you like think a little bit, and unique encounters that you don't really expect to see. And this is kind of what I see from this fight. Kind of like Ava before, I really enjoy the fact that it forces you to go out of your way to think outside the box to take on a boss. Not to mention, again, I love the fact that she throws her head at you and then dives at it wildly. I think that's just comedic timing at its best. The regular Smelter Demon in the Iron Keep is one of the real good skill checks in the game. Again, I've said this before, I love me a good 1v1 fight, and the Smelter Demon is really, really cool. I think his character model is badass. I also love the fact that it makes you aware of your health pool the entire time. Whenever you start taking that ticking damage, you have to be so conscientious of your health pool, constantly popping life gems to keep yourself alive while being able to dodge and dive and everything. I also love the unpredictability of the boss. The fact that, whenever he does his plunging attack, you have to try to identify whether or not he's going to do his point blank AoE or not, and I think that's a nice little touch, having to identify the fact of whether or not he's going to do that right there. I really like this boss a lot. A lot. I think it's a really well done fight. The Rotten, located in the Black Gulch. This fight is okay, the Black Gulch, least favorite spot in the entire game. I absolutely fucking despise the Black Gulch. However, the Rotten, really neat boss. Really cool concept of a boss. I love the fact that he kind of delays his attacks sometimes, which makes the player kind of think on their feet and adjust their timing accordingly. I always am a big fan of environmental problems, like fire on the ground and stuff, so you got to be aware of where you're standing and stuff. I think that's a nice touch as well. Not to mention, it's always funny whenever he picks you up and yeets your ass and eats you. I think that's a nice touch. I really do enjoy these 1v1 fights, and you're going to see that in the later things. The fact that he does his point blank AoEs, he does his spell casting on top of it. It's just, this is a good primal boss done right, and he really punishes mistakes, and I think he's just a very well done boss. I really enjoy his fight. Hate his zone, but love his fight. Sin the Slumbering Dragon. This boss is going to round out right before it just misses the top 10. Honestly, from a dragon standpoint, this is a much more intuitive fight than the Guardian Dragon, mainly because the varying attack pools. I love the fact that all of his attacks do poison damage. I think that's a nice touch. The fact that you have to be aware of not just the flames, but the fire and the poison. I think the one thing that holds it back from going into the top 10 for me is the fact that you're hitting a literal rock, and so your weapons degrade so fast in this fight, and I hate the fact that I have to worry about repairing my weapon mid-fight. It's just a pain in the ass. But the fact that I constantly felt chaos in this fight. I always felt stressed. I never felt like I was in full control of the fight, because he was always so chaotically jumping around and spewing fire and spewing poison fireballs and everything. This is probably the best dragon fight in Dark Souls 2. Honestly, I think even Dark Souls 1, I think this even beats out Calamite. This dragon fight was very well done, albeit very frustrating. I just wish that the weapon durability mechanic wasn't involved in it. I hated the fact that I had to worry about repairing my weapon mid-fight. Starting off our top 10 in the list is the Burnt Ivory King, the final boss in the final DLC of Dark Souls 2. This fight is so unique. I really like this fight a lot. It's chaotic as hell because you got to go through the whole gauntlet of enemies, but I enjoy the fact that this fight can be as hard or as easy as you want it to be. Because if you choose to go down here without any summons, then you got to take on the boss and all of his little minions the whole time, which makes this fight so much harder. Or you can go and fully explore the DLC zone, and then you can eliminate the ads and even have one extra little buddy with you to help you in the fight. I love his whole moveset. I love the fact that you can't really shield cheese him because of the fact that when he glows his sword blue, he can stab through the shield and still get you. I think he's such a well done boss, and he's such a cool arena. I love the fact that you dive into what appears to be the depths of hell itself just to fight him, and then he has this cool entrance after fighting waves of his enemies, where like the portal like spawns out of nowhere, and like he comes walking out like some big ass Giga Chad. Like he's such a cool model and a cool fight. I really do enjoy him. I think he was well done, well deserving of a top 10 spot, in Dark Souls 2. Coming in at number 9, we have the Pursuer. Located in the Forest of the Fallen Giants. This guy is an early game boss, but by God is he cool. He has such a unique, cool moveset, and on top of that, I love the fact that his whole moveset changes if he lands a certain ability on you. Not to mention the fact that this guy is a repetitive boss that consistently appears throughout the game in random locations, just to fuck your day up. He is an absolute Giga Chad of a boss. He's so cool, and he's so aggressive, and he really teaches a player in the beginning of the game how to identify movesets, how to identify how to dodge, and how to deal with all of the different things this boss deals with you. This guy is so cool, and his model is awesome, his entrance is awesome. Like, I can't gush enough over the Pursuer. He's such a cool boss, and I can't get enough of him. And honestly, you won't get enough of him because he pops up like 50 more times. Are you starting to see a trend here? Coming in at number 8, the Lost Sinner. This is probably the first great primal boss you come across, and he is, or she is, so amazing to fight. From an early game standpoint, first and foremost, let's get this out of the way. I love the fact that you have to like light oil pitches on the outside to change the boss arena. I think that's such a cool, unique thing. I absolutely love the fight itself. It honestly, it reminds me of Artorias, and I ranked Artorias number 1 in Dark Souls 1. The only thing that like takes this out of the running of number 1 is just the fact that it is a deceptively easy fight. Like, all you have to do is just bait out a single type of attack, and you can beat him pretty easily. But she's so cool. Like, I love the whole model. I love the whole arena thing. I love the 1v1 aspect. Like, this is one of those fights in Dark Souls 2 that if you lose to it, it's only your own fault. You just need to get good. You just need to stop failing, because there's nothing unfair about this fight. It's a very simple 1v1. You either get good and kill the boss, or you get your ass beat 50 million times sideways. And I absolutely love bosses like that. Coming in at number 7, we have the Blue Smelter Demon. Now, I put this higher than the regular Smelter Demon purely because of one thing. The fact that he is literally here to fuck you up. Okay, I think it's hilarious the fact that they put a reskin of a previous boss, but then instead of it being a reskin of a previous boss that everybody is like already like, oh, well, I've beaten this before. No, let's change the timing of the attack ever so slightly so people will be like raging the fuck out, because they'll be like, oh, hey, let's roll and dodge through this like I always do. Nope, the timing's different. Now you're gonna get smacked in the face. Or the fact that his AoE blast is a little bit bigger than the regular Smelter Demon. And so whenever in the regular Smelter Demon you could be a certain distance away and you're used to that, now you have to adjust and relearn a fight that you thought you already knew. I thought that's a really unique way to deal with it, because it may be a reskin, but it almost makes it feel like an entirely different fight. The only reason this isn't like kind of higher up is purely because of the run back. Fuck the Blue Smelter Demon run back. Fuck it right in the ass. Coming in at number 6, we have the Ancient Dragon. This boss is like, okay, like, let me put it to you this way. Like, if I wasn't cheesing the fuck out of this guy right here by standing in between his toes, this boss is probably one of the coolest bosses in Dark Souls 2. The fact that you fight a gigantic dragon with a shit ton of health and one that can cover the entire platform in fire is really cool. I put him higher than Sin purely because of the fact that, like, he is actually legitimately hard if you don't do what I'm doing here. I didn't put him higher up just because like you can do this, like he's easily cheesed, but I don't know, I love the aesthetics of him. I love the fact that, like, leading up to him you have like a bunch of guards that like bow to you and shit, and it's one of the rare occasions where the game actually punishes you for attacking an NPC, like more than just like the NPC becoming hostile. The NPC here full-fledged becomes into a boss, which I think is a really cool feature that it brought into the game. So I really enjoyed the Ancient Dragon, and I put it at number 6, 100%. Coming in at the top 5, Dark Lurker. This boss is the secret boss of the base game, and you can only access it through doing the Chasm of the Old, the Pilgrims of the Dark Covenant storyline, and it is quite the payoff. This fight is really, really neat. I think it's really cool that you have this whole, like, involved quest line just to get to the boss, where you have to light all these bonfires and everything to get to it. The fight itself is deceptively simple. Like, it's really a simple fight all the way up until it splits into two, and then at that point it becomes absolute pure chaos. I was able to get through the fight by just sheer overpowering it, but somebody who's running a dex build or a magic build that isn't able to do like mass damage in a short span of time is going to find themselves dying to these guys and burning human effigies like a mad lad. But this fight is just so cool. This like angel of darkness that just descends on the arena. Like, it's just such a unique encounter. I think it's really cool. The music's really eerie. The fight's really unique. I can't get over how absolutely wicked this boss is. I 100% recommend people going through and actually trying to beat this boss. Coming in at number 4, we have the Looking Glass Knight. The Looking Glass Knight, found at the in the King's Passage at the top of Drangleic Castle, is probably one of the coolest boss arenas I've seen in this game. And not to mention, like, it's just, again, like, I'm sorry, I get off on the really cool 1v1s, and that's exactly what this is. At least until he ruins the party and summons his little minion out of the mirror, and even then, I can't even get mad at that, because it's such a cool mechanic about how he slams his shield down, and you see, like, the image of the minion banging against the glass before the glass shatters and it comes out, and it's just really, really neat. This is, again, a classic case of get good. Okay, there's no gimmick here. There's nothing cheap or cop out about this fight. It is 100% a 1v1 be better than the opponent fight, and I can't get enough of it. The model is cool. The arena is cool. The fact that you're fighting him as a literal thunderstorm on top of a ruined castle, while he's just so bad. Like, look at him. He's so cool. Like, the fight itself is such a badass. And then to top it all off, you've got just awesome, like, animations in the fight. Like, this fight is just top tier. It's so good. I can't get enough of it. Definitely deserving of number 4. Continuing our trend of top tier 1v1 fights and rounding off in our top 3 of the boss guides, or of the boss tier list, we have Velstadt, the Royal Aegis. This guy is just badass. I mean, I'm sorry, like, look at him. He's so badass with his big ass hammer, and the fact that he just destroys the arena swinging at you. He's so dangerous with his backhand. I also love the fact that, like, even when you're behind him and you think you can, like, just bully him from behind, he proves you wrong by back swinging that weapon. And then to top it all off, when you get him low, he decides to shadow buff his abilities and just become an absolute tank, soaking damage. Like, add all of that on top of the fact that he does his frontal cone blast, and he's so goddamn cool. Like, this fight right here is absolute top. Not to mention his armor set's badass. Okay, just saying that right now. I 100% love this. Definite top 3 contender for one of the best fights in Dark Souls 3. Hands down. Coming in second place and our runner-up in this boss list, we have Sir Alon, the optional boss in one of the DLCs, and a true samurai juggernaut. Let's start right here, okay? Again, 1v1, big surprise. We all know Ryder loves a good 1v1. But look at this arena. You're fighting him in like at a cool, like Royal Palace-esque arena like this. Such a cool aesthetic. Secondly, okay, the fact that this guy's wielding a samurai sword and beating that ass with it, really wicked. He's super fast and aggressive, and like, you have to really be skilled in timing, because the thing is he's one of those unique bosses where he has a wind-up on all of his attacks, so you never know when you're supposed to dodge and when you're not. And then to add it all off, that move right there. That fucking piercing thing when he makes his sword glow all like red and glowy and badass looking like that. Like, that is so wicked, and he does so much damage with it too. Like, this guy is top tier in boss material. Like, the only reason this thing's not number 1, to be completely honest, is the fact that it's a single phase encounter. And honestly, it was like a toss-up. This and number 1 in terms of like fights, it was so close. I could not decide, and I finally had to lean towards this one going into number 2. But I mean, my God, this was such a wicked fight. And the first time I fought him, he killed me so many times, and every time I was like, God dang, this is cool. Like, I think the only thing that would really draw it back is the run back. The run back to him is an absolute goddamn nightmare. And I think that might be the one thing that kind of took you out of the experience for me. Other than that, though, like, the fight itself is amazing. Coming in at number 1, the Fume Knight, the final boss of the second DLC. This guy, I'm sorry, easily the coolest boss in the entirety of Dark Souls 2. Not only is he easily one of the most difficult, but he is also one of the coolest. I mean, look at this guy. This guy's such a Giga Chad. He's like, hey, you know what? I'm going to be a dexterity and a strength user. I'm going to swing this big ultra greatsword around with one fucking hand and smack you around with it. And just when you think I'm slow, I'm going to stab you with the other hand. Like, he's so goddamn cool. And then to add on top of all of it, he's got an absolute wicked phase too. I mean, the fucking dark flame abilities that he fucking pulls out of his ass, where you've got to like just time right the fire sweeps, you've got the fire orbs you got to run away from. Oh, by the way, let's not forget the fact that, again, you have to make sure that you watch your ass, because when you dodge behind him, he'll smack you from the backhand with that goddamn big ass sword of his. And then to top it all off, he has a phase transition that you can actually force. Because if you come in here with Velstat's helmet on, then you get to have the lovely, lovely deal of having to deal with his phase 2 mechanics the entire time. I mean, I can't gush over this fight enough. It's just such a cool fight in terms of its aesthetic, in terms of its animations, the difficulty, like, it's just so good. I mean, look at this guy. Like, he literally screams. He looks like the guy that would walk in, spit in your mother's face, fuck your woman, and walk out while flipping you the bird. And then he'd dare you to do something about it. That's the kind of guy this guy is, okay? The Fume Knight, absolutely best boss, Dark Souls 2, hands down. Come at me. All right, 100%. If you're still with me here at the end, thank you guys so much for watching the whole video, joining me on the boss guides and the tier list. I will be doing this for Dark Souls 3, Sekiro, Bloodborne, Demon Souls, all of the Souls content. So please feel free to hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, ding that notification bell so you know whenever I post some more. Come follow me over on Twitch, over on Kick, over on TikTok. All the links are going to be in the description down below. It really helps a ton. Leave me a comment down below. I'd love to hear your guys' input on what you guys think. Did I rank him good? Did I rank him bad? Do you think I'm full of shit? Let me know down below. I'd really love to hear your thoughts and expressions on it. But thank you again so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.